Hey guys, so I'm going to start doing a Retro Wednesday sort of deal where I get to commentate over dueling book replays, but it's going to be different formats other than Edison. I think I'm going to use Wednesday as a way of exploring other formats to see if I can learn the ways of the older formats, and then also Hat is also very popular as a format on dueling book. It's actually more popular than Tengu Plants from what I've seen so far, from my sample size of 2 days of lurking and seeing what people are playing. And I see that Hat format is seeing a lot more play than Tangle Plant. So I'm going to be doing commentation on Hat format for this particular Wednesday. But other Wednesdays, maybe I'll try other formats. I'll probably look at Tengu Plants a little bit more. Maybe it's a little bit more skillful than one might realize. But Hat format's interesting because of Soul Charge. Soul Charge is a really cool card because the biggest drawback of Soul Charge is that you are unable to conduct your battle phase. So oftentimes you're going to give your opponent another turn, and Dark Hole being in this format allows you to basically capitalize on that fact that if your opponent doesn't end on a Stardust or anything that can negate spell and trap removal, then basically you're able to come back in the game and then pretty much put the Soul Charge player back a whole turn. So that's pretty much the idea of this format. A player with Soul Charge, you have to pretty much build a board that can remove cards off your opponent's board and pretty much reestablish your tempo or your board control after it gets lost to a Dark Hole or anything that gets pretty much played on your opponent's next turn, because you're basically skipping your battle phase, which means you're not going to kill your opponent. Unless you're, of course, playing cards that allow you to burn cards or burn life. I don't think there's currently any cards or there wasn't any card back in the day that you could Soul Charge and then burn your opponent's life points. So the idea in this particular format was that if you were playing a deck where it's like a mirror match of like control decks, basically like a hat mirror match. It really came out to who can flip the trap cards correctly, the correct timings and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna go into the gameplay video. On our upside, we're gonna see a Bujin, basically at full power. It even plays Soul Charge, I believe, too. Back in the day, they did play Soul Charge, but they didn't really have to. There was a card that called Bujin Reincarnation or Bujin Carnation. This card basically allows you to basically play an Xyz. Basically an Xyz Beast Warrior using Bujin cards from the graveyard in your banish. So you're always going to have a Bujin card in your banish because that's the way the deck works. Your model basically sends off a Bujin card from your deck because you add it to your hand and then you discard a card. So you basically discard the Bujin cards that can remove themselves from play or banish themselves, and then basically from there your reincarnation is live once your model goes to the graveyard. With Lightsworn Ruler, this is Lightsworn Rulers by the way. The deck likes to use Eclipse Wyvern to basically fetch out the JD. Eclipse Wyvern, whenever it's sent to the graveyard, you banish a level 7 or higher light monster or dark dragon monster, sorry. So, and then you're basically going to be banishing Judgment Dragon from your deck, and then when this card is ever banished from your graveyard, via, I believe Dragon Ruler plays Blaster. Blaster is the way that you are able to banish this from your graveyard, and then add this card from your banish using Eclipse Wyvern. So Eclipse Wyvern was a pretty cool card. It allows you to search for cards. This deck is going to be a Soul Charge deck, so you basically want to have your Soul Charge in your hand, especially going first, with Charge Light Brigade and Solar Recharge and etc. And then when you have your graveyard filled up, you play Soul Charge, and then you basically revive your whole board and make a whole board. So we're going to start the video now, so just pretty much see what this format is all about. This is going to allow me to kind of see how the deck was played back in the day, and just see if this game, this retro format is actually good for its time, good for a retro format replay. So we have Yamato here, where he summons it, and he sets a breakthrough skill in a Bujin Reincarnation set. And since he pretty much wants to bluff out the MSTs in this format, because Heavy Storm was banned in this format, MST can blatantly miss by hitting this Bujin Reincarnation. And I feel like he set this card because he can actually doesn't mind losing this because you have another copy in your hand. Okay, so at the end phase, he activates Bujin Yamato. He searches the Bujin monster and he discards it. He searches the Hair, which is a card that basically says that during the player's turn, you can banish this as a quick effect, and then you can basically protect your Bujin Yamato from any destruction or battle. So that's pretty much the card that you want to go for. He sets a Eclipse Wyvern, and he sets a Needlebug's Nest. Needlebug's Nest is one of those older cards, but it got reintroduced in this format thanks to Patrick Hoban. Basically, you send the top 5 cards of your deck and send it to the graveyard, and then since he has Soul Charge in hand, he's basically going to capitalize next turn. Looks like he draws a Soul Charge for turn, so with Soul Charge he can pretty much activate it right away, but it looks like he's going to go for banishing the hair right away. He wants to have it in the banished area so that at least he can, or no, he's probably going to special summon Arasuda. Arasuda is basically, you special summon itself from your hand if you banish a Bujin monster. So he plays it in defense mode. It says, during the end phase, if a Bujin card was added to your deck, to your hand except by drawing it, so if you activate Yamato, you're able to draw a card and discard a card. So that's basically doesn't do much in terms of advantage. So he overlays here for Diamond Direwolf to pretty much force any back row. He doesn't know what he's playing against, so he's going to have to be cautious about it. He goes into the Needlebug's Nest and he chains it to the Diamond Dire effect. Diamond Dire effect is like a Scrap Dragon. It destroys itself and another face down card. But it's not quite like Scrap Dragon because you have to target a beast or a beast warrior or a wing beast and destroy both of them. Looks like he activates Reincarnation. Now that he has a monster, he can activate Reincarnation set. He then normal summons this monster so that he can make the Crane here is pretty much the honest of the deck. It basically doubles the attack of your Yamato, but you can also double the attack of one of your Xyz as well. So the 2400 can go up to 4800, and it does it for only damage calculation only. So that's pretty interesting. So with the hair and the Crane, he's able to make Susanoo. I can never say that correctly. You can attach one card and add a Bujin monster to your hand or just send it to the graveyard. This card has a really broken effect. It's able to attack all your opponent's monsters once each, so it's able to attack basically all the monsters on your opponent's side. So definitely, it's really good against Soul Charge decks because Soul Charge decks will generally have a lot of different monsters that are face up. And then from there, Susanoo can basically attack all the monsters, assuming it's big enough. With the Tanky here, it goes up to 2500, and with Crane, it goes up to basically 5000 attack. So this card can actually go for OTK. Okay, so it looks like he destroys Eclipse Wyvern here. He banishes Judgment Dragon off his deck. So now Eclipse Wyvern is now still in the graveyard, and he attacks directly for 2400. Okay, he takes 2500 damage. And then end phase, he's going to search for the Mikazuchi. Mikazuchi is one of those cards that if one of your Beast Warrior Bujin monster gets destroyed by battle or by card effect, you're basically able to special summon this. And then when it's on the field, during the end phase, if a Bujin monster was sent from your hand to the graveyard, you can basically add a Bujin spell or trap. So the Bujin spell or trap you're going to add is the Reincarnation, but most likely you won't need it because you already have two. Resolving the second one is pretty much GG's for the most part. So yeah, we're going to play here. Okay, it looks like he discards the turtle using the Yamato effect. And then he draws for turn. He draws for Necrogardna. Most likely he's gonna Soul Charge is gonna come down here. There's no cards in his hand that he can bait his back row. So Lila would be a really good card if he had it. He would be able to summon the Lila and target the back row that's set, destroy it, and then use Soul Charge. Unfortunately, he's gonna have to shotgun the Soul Charge here without normal summoning. So let's see what happens here. And I was right, he activates Soul Charge here. He's probably going to target all of his monsters in his graveyard that he can summon. He's probably going to summon the Eclipse Wyvern here and the Jane here. This card cannot be special summoned unless you have 5 monsters, so it's a semi-Nami monster. And it looks like you have to... so this basically allows you to proc the Eclipse Wyvern because you're able to banish a light monster from your graveyard and then target a set card your opponent controls and place it on the top of the deck. So it's Phoenix Wind Blast. It's also 2800 attack. Okay, so he places both of the monsters in attack mode. His opponent has a breakthrough skill set, so there's really no point in using breakthrough skills until he decides to do something with his board. Jane is an end phase effect, so it's not going to do much here. So most likely what's going to happen here is that he's going to try to overlay these two together for some reason. To make maybe a Diamond Direwolf, but with the turtle in the graveyard, he can actually protect anything that targets one of his Bujin monsters. So I don't see a play that he can do. Maybe Silent Honor Arc, but that's not going to do anything. So looks like Hectorology, the guy who's playing the Lightsworn Ruler, scoops for this turn. He didn't have a really good mill off the top of 5 using the Needlebug Nest, so he doesn't have any advantage that he can get. And then without the advantage, then from the Soul Charge, he's unable to make a really good board off his Soul Charge. So I'm not sure what they're going to side deck going next turn, so I'm not too sure. Maybe more Spell and Trap Hate, I do know that Bujins like to play Kaiser Coliseum. Kaiser Coliseum was saw a lot more play in this format because it's able to basically make it so that your opponent can't overcommit boards. So if you have Kaiser Coliseum with any of your Bujin monsters, basically they can't make any overlaid monsters or Xyz monsters. They can't soul charge into bigger monsters. So Kaiser Coliseum is definitely a good side deck when you're the Bujin player. Okay, so now game 2 started now. Player opens up with MST, Foolish Burial, Allure Darkness. Not sure why they play Allure Darkness. I don't know if there's any dark monsters in that deck in particular that I can think of other than Necrogarna. I'm not sure if Tragodia is legal or Gores, but that's an Edison format thing. I'm not sure if they're going to be playing those in hat format. So if I was him, I'd probably summon Jane here, and pretty much mill 2 at the end phase. Probably keep the MST in hand just in case he draws his Floodgate. Looks like the Bujin player has Vanity's Emptiness, so I guess it was legal back in the day to pretty much lock out any special summons. He also has no Yamato in his hand, so he won't be able to start, do a good starter. He summons the Hare here, and he sets 2 cards. Looks like he sets the Breakthrough Skill and the Vanity's Emptiness. So a pretty slow start for the Yamato or for the Bujin player. The player A just draws into Soul Charge here, and with Soul Charge he's able to pretty much pop off. Foolish Barrel can send a Raiden to his graveyard, but he already has one in graveyard, so he's probably going to send off an Eclipse Wyvern here. Let me see if he has it. Yeah, so he's probably going to send off an Eclipse Wyvern here to banish a JD, and then basically Soul Charge for 3 here, and then he's probably going to MST the Vanity's Fiend, or the Vanity's Emptiness, if it decides to flip over here, after he activates Soul Charge. Okay, he sends off a Lila here, so now he's able to deal with the back rows. He's probably going to go Soul Charge here, and then he's going to target the Lila. Yeah, he's going to target Lila, Raiden, and Lumina, so he's going to go down to 5,000 life points. Opponent doesn't change the Vanity's Emptiness, and player A activates MST to destroy it off the chain, so he's able to special summon the monsters. The cool ruling about this is that if you activate Soul Charge, you have a second copy. If your opponent responds with the Solemn Warning, then it will negate the effect of Soul Charge, and since it negates the activation, Solemn Warning negates the activation, you can activate the second Soul Charge and basically be able to do the same play. So I don't think Solemn Warning was a really good card back in the day, so they probably opted not to play it. So he uses Lila effect here to basically force the back row, and then he changed the Breakthrough Skill on the Lumina, and so this way it shuts off Lumina's effect to revive a Lightsworn, which is fine because yeah, from here he's unable to bring out the Raiden here. I'm not sure why Raiden is banished here. Maybe he DD Crowed here. So let's look at the grave. Yeah, so it looks like DD Crow is chained onto the Soul Charge here, and so now you're basically going to lose 2,000 life points as opposed to 3,000. Okay, so from here he can overlay cards with his 2 cards over here. I'm not sure what else he can do here other than overlay. He won't be able to conduct his battle phase. The overlay into a Diamond Dire Wolf would only deal with the Hare, so that he won't be able to overlay next turn for Susanoo, and Susanoo will be able to search any Bujin monster. So I would do a Diamond Dire Wolf play here, or Silent Honor Arc. I think Silent Honor Arc though, you have to take a special summon monster. I haven't played that format in a while. I don't think Castel was legal. Castel is the rank 4 card where you detach 2 materials, and the 2 materials will then be able to remove any card on the field, regardless of whether it's a special summon or not. Okay, so he normal summons the Groth here. He's going to overlay the 2 together. I think another legal card you can play was there's a Laval chain you can go into to dump cards to your graveyard. Let me see how many cards he has here. It looks like he just passes here, basically like that. Didn't see what happens here. He used Diamond Dire Wolf. Oh, and then he milled 6. So that's what he did. Or he milled 3. So the Breakthrough Skill negates the Lumina, and he mills the 2 dark monsters. So it looks like I see why he plays Allure Darkness, because he does play Curry Bandit in his graveyard. So he's gonna summon the Mikazuchi, and then he negates the attack with Necrogarden in his graveyard that he milled off the Lila. Past his turn here, Yamato is the better starter here, so he's unable to capitalize off this play. So it looks like the Bujin player opened up pretty slowly. So now with the battle phase, now with the Lightsworn ruler being able to conduct his battle phase, he can do a lot more moves here. He draws into the Eclipse Wyvern, he discards it to special summon Garoth here, and then the Eclipse Wyvern is going to banish the or pretty much a Judgment Dragon from his deck face up. And then from here, he's able to essentially find a way to banish this if he could. Now there's no way for him to banish this card, and then it's pretty much special summon or find Judgment Dragon. He does have 3 names in his graveyard, so 1, 2. Oh no, he only has 2. So with only 2 names in the graveyard, he'll have to go into a Diamond Dire Wolf again, and then special summon JD. I wouldn't recommend it because it's not really good enough. Okay, now that I overlay the 2 monsters together, from here he can probably make a Laval chain to dump cards. Looks like he goes for the Rhapsody and Berserk, so he can banish cards out of his graveyard. He's probably going to banish the Bujin here, and I don't think you can banish cards from your own graveyard, but there's no point in doing that. Looks like he can also banish Breakthrough Skill, which is really smart too. This only targets the monster. He special summons a JD here. With JD, he's able to at least attack over it. I think Rhapsody here can also equip this Exceed monster to the JD, so it can become a 4200 attack monster. Okay, so with this out, this is 1900. If he cranes the JD here, it'll only go to the 38. Might consider using Judgment Dragon to blow up the field here, rather than to deal with the crane. Let's see what happens. Looks like he decides to attack with Judgment Dragon here. In the damage step or the damage calculation, he can drop Crane here to double this attack to 38 and then beat it over to JD. Okay. If he had equipped the Rhapsody and Berserk here, JD would have been at 4200 attack, and even if he has the Crane, he would have been able to run over. So now this puts him in a really bad spot. He can normal summon the bear here and overlay for Susanoo. In other cases, he can draw Tenki, summon the bear, pop one of these monsters, and then attack, and then go into Susanoo, and then get the Yamato to his hand. So he's in a pretty bad spot here. This also procs to, let's see here, during the end phase, if a Bujin monster was sent from your hand to the graveyard this turn, he's able to search for the Bujin Carnation and then pretty much capitalize on that. So he's going to search for Bujin Carnation here, and then now he can draw for turn. And it looks like he just admits defeat here. Looks like the Lightsworn Ruler was 2-0'd in this one, so unfortunate for him. Had he just targeted one of the Xyz monster, oh, he can only target an Xyz monster. So it looks like Rhapsody in Berserk is only able to power up any Xyz monster, and JD wasn't an Xyz monster. So unfortunately, the Mikazuki, even though the Bujin player opened up pretty badly, it was pretty bad for the Lightsworn player because the DD Crow was able to disrupt the pretty much disrupt the Raiden play, because the Raiden was in the graveyard. He would have been able to mill 2 and then synchro summon into a Michael. Michael is a Lightsworn monster that can pretty much come out for level 7. You pay 1000 life points and you banish any monster on your opponent's side of the field, and then basically that gets around not having a battle phase in Lightsworn Rulers, so that's really cool about that. Okay, Lightsworn Ruler starts his turn again, so it looks like he activates Raiden effect to mill 2. He mills the Eclipse Wyvern. Eclipse Wyvern is going to banish a Judgment Dragon, and from here he can banish these 2 dragons to special summon Blaster and add the Judgment Dragon, but there's no need to do that. He can actually activate Foolish Burial to dump a... There's no reason to activate Foolish Burial. Okay, so at end phase he activates a Raiden effect to mill 2. Player B starts his turn. He does not have the Yamato in his hand, so he's probably going to have to go Duality for it first. It looks like he gets a Tenki, so the Tenki is able to see his Yamato. Player B activates Tenki here to search for your Yamato. Summons the Yamato and sets 2. Most likely. It looks like it goes for the bear play. I guess that's good too. Summons the bear here, activates Tenki, or bear's effect to pop the Raiden. Attacks directly for 1600 here. And then he's able to set the Tenki. And then he's able to set or control the board with Chaos Trap Hole and Bottomless Trap Hole. Okay, he draws into the Wolf. So if he summons the Dragon Lure from his graveyard, he can just Bottomless it. Activates Foolish Barrel here. He dumps a Eclipse Wyvern, banishing another JD. I think a really good tech in this deck would be to play Trade-In, because you're definitely going to mill Eclipse Wyvern either through Laval Chain or randomly, and then when you banish for using a Dragon Ruler effect, you're able to add the level 8 monsters to your hand, and they can just use Trade-In, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Okay, so he brings out the Tempest from his graveyard. He banishes the Eclipse Wyvern, 2 Eclipse Wyvern, and adds 2 JDs to his hand. Another cool card you can play is probably Card Destruction, but I don't think it was legal for Hat. So he activates Bottomless on the Tempest, and now he's pretty much screwed. With Tempest being banished, he can add a wind monster dragon. So it looks like he can use both effect. He can only use one. Oh, so it looks like he can't do both. So if he uses the banish effect, he will not be able to use the other search effect. So I don't think they both realize it. So yeah, so he doesn't search for anything. So it looks like he banishes dragons out of his hand to special summon Blaster. So he was able to force out the Bottomless. So he has to make sure that this is not anything else. It's not. He summons the Eclipse Wyvern and he attacks over the Fire Fist for 12, and then he attacks over for 16. Still in a bad spot for the Lightsworn Ruler, because he can simply just activate the Tenki here, summon Yamato, attack over this, and then basically... Oh, but he does have Honest, so that's really good about that. Yeah, so he has a lot of different plays he can do. It goes into the Yamato here. He can probably find a way to dump hair somehow. But yeah, so it goes into Duality here. It's Kaiser Coliseum, most likely, or Dark Hole. Most likely Kaiser, yeah, to control the board here. So he summons Yamato here, activates Kaiser, and it looks like he doesn't want to go into battle phase for fear that he might have Honest, and he played around that pretty nicely. Although he needs to return his Dark Hole back to his deck, and his Crane. He dumps the hair. Oh, accept the game state, so we're going to pretend that didn't happen. The Blaster is going to go back to the hand because it goes back to the hand in the end phase, and now he's under the Kaiser Coliseum lock. So he draws return here, he draws a warning. Looks like he forgot to recycle his Dark Hole still, so he's going to play as if he doesn't have Dark Hole. Okay, he summons the Arasuda here. The Arasuda here is basically going to allow him to overlay each other for Susanoo. And then he just quits. Yeah, so it looks like Lightsworn Ruler, if you guys do plan on playing this deck, it's really hard matchup against the Bujin player, because the Bujin player can lock you out of the game because they have a lot of traps. But they also have cards that basically interact with your trap cards that interact with your monsters, such as Bottomless. Bottomless is really good against Dragon Rulers in general, because when you use the effect to bring it out from the graveyard, they can just use Bottomless to remove from play. And when that happens, you basically can't use the ability anymore because it's no longer going to go to the graveyard and is able to do anything for you in the following turns. But yeah, that was my commentary video for Retro Wednesday. I hope you guys enjoyed Half Format. Half Format seems a little bit interesting for me. It's for all the modern players, but not quite the modern players, because Soul Charge isn't a card that basically makes it so that you can make an unbreakable board. It's more of a card that like gives up your battle phase for the most part, and then you have to find ways to like make a board to like clear your opponent's board, and also set up an Omni Negate. That's kind of really hard to do, especially when the back row decks on the during Half Format were just really strong in nature. Bujin being one of them, but there's also Geargia. There was also Hat. Those are the two cards, the two decks I can name off the top of my head that were really good back row decks that capitalized on your opponent using Soul Charge, getting their life point low, and then they would just kill them outright because they would have low life points. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to try to do another one for the next week, for next Wednesday. This will be a thing. It'll be called Retro Wednesday. So if you guys are interested in learning new formats and getting reminded or getting a review session on what the old formats were like, I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of commentary on those every Wednesday. Alright, stay tuned guys. Peace out.